All right, pretty big storm ended up moving into California. You can actually see the atmospheric river portion of it on the satellite imagery right now, directly over Southern California. I was debating whether I was going to do a video today, and then I went on I guess it's called X now, not Twitter. But there, I was seeing a lot of footage of flooding around Los Angeles, and then we felt the storm pretty strong along the central coast yesterday. The rain wasn't as bad, so luckily our rivers didn't end up flooding as they were forecasted to. They're still working on those river forecast charts, but it's the best that we have to work with right now. What we did have on the Central Coast, though, was very gusty winds. I was collecting some of the big wind gusts across the Central Coast yesterday to put into graphics, and in the Big Sur area, we had some gusts around, I believe it was 75, 79, 85, and 88 mile per hour gusts were what some of the stations were reading there. And that wasn't just up in the high elevations, it's even some lower elevations. And that was maybe what was the most significant about the windstorm across the Central Coast, is it was widespread. It's more common for just the mountains to get very windy above 50 miles per hour, but almost the entire Central Coast had gusts over 40 to 50. So trees came down, hundreds of thousands, I'd say is a safe way to say it, for people without power, not only for us, but Sacramento Valley. And then now I've heard over 500,000 without power down in Southern California. And that is actually going to be, I think, the main focus of this video, just because you can see they still have the atmospheric river portion of this storm over them. So what I want to know is maybe how much rain they've picked up so far and how much rain is still to come and any warnings that might be in place. So let's just take the wide view first. Get a brief overview of what is still to come for Southern California. Then we'll maybe look at the quick overview of the snow that's still on the way, because there's most likely still some concerns up in the mountains as well. And then we'll actually break down into some of the warnings, go to the National Weather Service, see what they have to say, and then break down the exact timing. So that's forecasted through the middle of the week. It looks like another 2 to 4 inch, maybe even 2 to 5 inches throughout Southern California. It does look like the largest totals are going to start shifting south, though, and that makes sense as that atmospheric river shifts a little bit south. And you know, if my tone isn't as casual as it usually is in this video, I think that's just because this is a pretty significant event. We picked up a lot of rain yesterday. I've already been seeing some footage of flooding. We had trees down that I've seen that photos of trees that came down on cars. I haven't heard of any fatalities yet. Hopefully it stays that way, but this is definitely one of those storms that could be life-threatening. Now, I'm not saying that to try to scare anybody. We're just going to try to look up the information, and then there's certain actions you can take to protect yourself, and then once you do that, the rest is kind of out of our control, so can't really worry more than that. Up in the Sierra, looks like we'll have another foot of snow, especially the southern Sierra, and then notice that one orange circle down in Southern California. That would potentially mean more than 2 feet of snow. Interested to see if that is the case. So let's check out the radar. And then I want to, just to see where there's some heavy rain right now. Actually, it looks like there's still heavy rain over parts of the Central Coast, but clearly the real kind of action is down in Southern California. And it's kind of hard to tell where the coast is on this map. Like right around there. I guess Huntington Beach would be the coast, obviously. And there's heavy rainfall off of the coast right there, and you know the direction the atmospheric river is moving, so that heavy rainfall would still be moving in to Southern California, and you can just see the band of moisture right there. Keep in mind that's going all the way back. It was originally going back to pretty much the Hawaiian Islands. That's why they call it a Pineapple Express, but it's almost dipping even farther south now, so it's probably almost pulling in tropical moisture at this point. Yeah, definitely still heavy rain. You notice some of that heavy rain, that band right there, is still to the west of Los Angeles. And some people don't like the term atmospheric river, but I actually like it because it's a pretty good description of what this is. It's basically a river in the atmosphere, and then when it bumps up into our mountains right here, It rises up, creates clouds, and it almost gets squeezed out like a sponge. And that's what's been happening to Los Angeles throughout the last 24 hours, and then looks like it's still happening to them as of right now. So next, I kind of want to see some rainfall totals for myself. I was seeing some people throw out numbers online, but a lot of times people will pick the outliers and like what's going to get the most shares and clicks. So sometimes it's nice just to go to the stations themselves and figure it out on our own. So keep in mind, this is since, I believe, midnight last night. Looks like another 1 to 2 inches around Malibu. Maybe another 1.5 inches around Long Beach. Another 1.5 inches around Huntington Beach. Close to 2 inches around Los Angeles. And then up in Santa Barbara, there's one station that shows 3, but then you look all around it and there's a lot of stations that are showing 0 to 1/4 of an inch. So it seems like a lot of the heavy rain is done in the Santa Barbara area. That one right there is showing 9.46 inches. I think we can take that with a grain of salt though, because you look around it and you're seeing a lot of 0.1 to 1/4 of an inch. So I think that might be an error right there. That's what I'm talking about, where people online would then take that number and say like 9 inches of rainfall. But when you actually look at some of the other stations, that might be a fluke. Around Calabasas, maybe 1.5, 2, 4, 2, 2. Thousand Oaks around an inch. And then, curious to see, yeah, it doesn't seem like it's moved south just yet. San Diego, we're seeing a lot of zeros down there. So what I want to do is I want to take one of these stations around Los Angeles that looks like it's accurate for the day today. We have a 2.1, 1.8, 2. Let's 2.2. Let's go with the 2. I'd say that's somewhere in the middle between all of those. And what I want to do is I want to see how much rain they got yesterday. So it's showing 2.1 inches today. Short thermometer. Now let's go to February 4th. And it's showing 3.74 inches. So I can't really do the math in my head, but I believe that would be close to 6, maybe just under 6 inches. And that's just one station. Let's see if we can click another one. Let's go with that one. Might be able to do the math a little better on this. It's showing 2.2 inches. Now let's go to February 4th. And it's showing 4.5. So total, that would be 6.7 inches of rain. So that is a significant amount of rain. That explains why there's been some flooding. And then keep in mind that there's more rain on the way. So before we look at how much rain is on the way and the timing and totals for when this system's finally going to pass, we should just check out what warnings are going on. This probably should have been the first thing that I showed in the video. I like these graphics too. It just makes it very simple to look at. Expected rainfall totals. So Santa Barbara, 5 inches. Keep in mind some of this is going to be, is there a timeline on this? It's saying through Tuesday, but I'm guessing they start these numbers at when the rain started coming down. So this is going to be storm totals. So some of these numbers in Santa Barbara, most of that has probably already fallen. But that's a key thing to see. Flood watch through 4 p.m. Tuesday. High risk for life-threatening and damaging flooding. Los Angeles showing 6.37. I'd say that's a fair number right there, considering we have seen observed rainfall amounts of that. And it looks to be still falling down, so we're going to see even more. Rainfall totals, 48 inches, 8 to 14 in the mountains and foothills. Timing, plus or minus 6 hours, 20% chance of thunderstorms. So that's where you can still get kind of locally heavy rainfall as well. And then since the soils, or there's not much soil in this area anyway, since you're not going to observe it, then that's where it just turns into runoff. Damaging winds, looks like we still have some windy conditions. It says Sunday and Sunday night though. Wind decrease by Monday. So that's good news. I did see one report that they had some gusts around I think 70, I think I saw 75 in the observations. Actually, we can see how windy are we right now. It definitely came down across the Central Coast. Yeah, I think we're about 5 to 15. Santa Barbara, maybe, yeah, 5 to 15. Los Angeles, not looking that windy. I'm seeing, there's still some gusts around 20. That one's showing a 30. Whoa, their max gust was a 51 at that station. Let's go close to Los Angeles. That shows max gust 7 miles per hour. Closer to the beach, 26 miles per hour. So it seems like the worst of the winds are behind us. I'm glad we picked up that little piece of information. And then we also saw that there could be a decent amount of snow still coming down. That's showing above 7,000 feet, 2 to 5 feet of snow. Around 5,000 to 6,000, 4 to 8 inches. And it shows the snow levels dropping, which makes sense as more cold air starts to fill in. And then timing. Yeah, I love this graphic. And it's just a great way to tell us exactly what's going on. So Sunday 6 a.m. was where some of that very heavy rain started for Santa Barbara. Then it spread into Ventura by Sunday 12 p.m. Then Sunday 6 p.m. it was from Santa Barbara through Los Angeles. And then through Monday 6 a.m. still showing very heavy rainfall for Los Angeles. Where are we now? Monday, what is it? It's about 12 p.m. Hey, we're finally starting to trend out of it. So that's good. It's in the light blue, which is mostly moderate. Although when we looked at the radar, it did still look like there's the potential for some heavy rainfall out there. And then by Monday 6 p.m., it's still showing some moderate rain throughout Ventura and Los Angeles. And then Tuesday 12 a.m. to Tuesday 6 a.m., it finally looks like we're going to trend back towards the light rainfall. So throughout, I'd say the rest of the day today, we're still picking up some decent rainfall for Ventura and Los Angeles. So that's going to add on to the flooding impacts that we've already seen, because if a place is already flooded, well, then any additional rainfall just leads to more flooding. Okay, that's a good graphic to look at there. And then, yep, we do have some flash flood warnings in place. It looks like it's around Malibu. It's a little hard to tell on this map. So let's see, flash flood warning for the Santa Monica Mountains and the Hollywood Hills. 9:40 a.m. This was today, so not too long ago. Doppler radar indicated moderate to heavy showers across the warned area. Between 5 and 10 inches of rain have fallen. This additional rain could create flash flooding as well as rock and mudslide activity. Flash flooding caused by thunderstorms. And flash flooding of small creeks and streams, urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses, as well as other poor drainage and low-lying areas. Santa Monica Mountains and Hollywood Hills. Turn around, don't drown. That's always a good idea. If you see water in the roadways, I forget the exact fact, but it's like the large majority of flooding deaths happen from people in vehicles, because they try to drive through and then their car flips over and then they can't get out of their car. And it doesn't take as much water as you would think to start to take your car and just basically have it floating along like a cork. I think it's 6 inches can float a car, which is pretty incredible, but it just shows you the power of water, I'd say, is a good way to put it. Then we also have a flood warning over Los Angeles, Anaheim, stretching up through Palmdale. Let's see, that's in effect through 1 p.m. this afternoon, so that's at least good news. They're set to expire in the next hour. With that being said, though, we've seen some warnings get extended throughout the course of this system. So it's maybe punching above its weight in some ways, punching below its weight in others. We didn't pick up as much rainfall on the Central Coast, but then it did end up being extremely windy out there. Additional rainfall amounts of 2 to 4 inches are possible to the warned area. And it says between 5 and 8 inches of rain have fallen. where? A portion of southwest California, including the following counties: San Bernardino. And that is again through 1 p.m. Okay. Then we also have the winter storm warning up in the mountains. We already kind of looked at the totals there. 2 to 4 feet above 7,000 feet, 10 to 20 inches between 6 and 7. And then winds, it says could gust as high as 70 miles per hour, but I think we've seen those winds come down. It might still be pretty windy up in the mountains. And then on top of all of that, we also have the high surf advisory still stretching around Santa Barbara and going down through Oceanside as well. So let's check out the forecast discussion summary from the Los Angeles office. Periods of rain, mountain snow, and possible thunderstorms will continue through Tuesday night and possibly through Wednesday night. Light to moderate rain will be common with locally brief but heavy downpours. Snow levels will lower each day with mountain snow issues increasing. Interesting. So maybe as the flood risk and the rain risk goes down, the mountain risk actually goes up because the snow levels start to drop. Gusty northwest winds will form Wednesday into Thursday. Showers will taper off Thursday and Friday with dry but still cool conditions to follow. I'm not even looking at Wednesday and Thursday yet in this video. We still have this storm to get through. That was some great information though about still the potential for moderate to even heavy at times rainfall in LA and then snow levels dropping down. So let's check out the SoCal rain rates. And let's go right here. Still showing, that kind of sums up what we were seeing on the satellite imagery and the radar with just that band of rain, heavy at times, maybe especially up in the mountains. It looks like it's going to be mostly moderate though. So while there is the chance for heavy rain, some of that, you can see where that heavy band is though. It's right about there. And then look at when I click through 1 p.m., it starts to move a little southeast. And then 4 p.m. moves a little farther south. And then by 7 p.m. tonight, it looks like it's almost all just light to moderate rain. Los Angeles looks to almost be out of that section where you have the potential for heavy rainfall. And then it moves down more to Oceanside, potentially San Diego. Might decrease in intensity by the time it gets down to San Diego. But let's see when the rain finally stops. That's all the way into 7 a.m. Wednesday, and we're still seeing some showers out there. So the storm seems to be decreasing in intensity, but it does look like we have the potential to just continually add on more to our rainfall totals, maybe even through the middle of the week. But it looks like they are going to start they're already, I'd say, getting better relief right now from the very heavy rainfall, and then that trend will continue throughout the day today. Now let's look at total precipitation. Clicking through. Yeah, not seeing as much around the Santa Barbara area, just in the blue, which is less than an inch. Los Angeles, though, expected to be 2.7. Riverside, 3.3. 4.4 for Oceanside. So remember, that's where that band of heavy rain looks like it still is yet to move down. And then same for San Diego, 3.7 inches still expected down there. So I'd imagine, I didn't really look at San Diego when we were checking out LA's forecast, but I would imagine they have flood watches as well. Yeah, they're saying 2 to 2.5 inches for San Diego through 10 p.m. Tuesday. So maybe I was clicking a little too far on the models. High surf advisory and flood watch for San Diego. So basically all of Southern California is covered in, or at least the coastal parts of Southern California, covered in some kind of, we have flash flood warning. That's the most intense. Then you have the bright green, which is flood warning. That's from Los Angeles down through San Clemente. And then dark green is the flood watch, which could transition to a flood warning or hopefully not a flash flood warning throughout the next day down in the very southern parts of Southern California. And yeah, expecting some strong wind gusts throughout the day today. The same wind gusts that we felt on the Central Coast that we saw in LA. Looks like they'll get them down in San Diego maybe around 40 to 50 miles per hour. So that's our rainfall totals there. We did mention that there might actually be an increase in snow danger as the snow levels drop. So that's our snow map. I think that's the bullseye right there. That could be the spot where we were seeing more than 2 to 4 feet above 7,000 feet. And then Southern Sierra, I think most of the snow that we're getting with this system has already come down, but might add on another foot. But it does look like that atmospheric river has shifted down to Southern California, so that's more going to be the lingering snowfall behind the peak of the system. So that is all good information. I think next thing we can do is check out what's going on with those wind gusts, because that was a big part of the storm. Looks like they're still pretty strong up in Northern California, around 50 miles per hour. But as the low moves farther to the north, it's going to take the very gusty winds with them. And then that's tonight at 10 p.m. That looks pretty good across California in terms of our wind gusts. Yeah, just continuing. Still the chance for some gusty winds down in Southern California. You see that one? 20, 30, maybe 40 mile per hour. I'd say the worst of this storm in terms of wind is behind us. Rain, we're still adding on to some of our totals in LA. We have a flash flood warning that's about as bad as flooding gets. So that's happening right now. And then it sounds like some of our increased snow danger actually will be picking up as the snow levels drop. All right. So now let's take a quick... the focus of this video is obviously Southern California. But, I'm glad we did just check the Bay Area really quickly, because this shows how strong the storm was. Top 10 wind gusts from Sunday. Pablo Point in Marin was 102 miles per hour. Road to Ranches, 99. Loma Prieta, 98. Don't know how to pronounce that. Some kind of tower in Santa Clara, 97. Wow, Marin had very gusty conditions, and it looks like especially along kind of more northern Marin, I think, from a lot of what I'm seeing here. Point Reyes, Lucas Valley, that's all very North Marin. Over 80 miles per hour. And then down in Big Sur, we had a gust around 88. I thought that was the most, but 102, Pablo Point, Marin. And speaking of Marin, it looks like they do still have, I think that's a flood warning. Might be a little colorblind here. It's hard to tell the difference between a flood warning and a flood advisory. Yeah, still have a flood warning for a portion of Northern California, including Marin, Napa, and Sonoma until 7 p.m. on Monday. Flooding of rivers, creeks, streams, low-lying areas. And same as always, turn around, don't drown. All right. The warnings at least aren't as widespread as they were yesterday. Still have the flood watch throughout the Central Valley, though, so we should check the Central Valley forecast as well. Forecast discussion. This is still Bay Area. So, lingering showers and isolated thunderstorms continue today, but with only light winds. That's good. Isolated to scattered showers continue on Tuesday across the region, but more focused over the central coast. There goes my pickleball plans. Another weak weather system will bring light rain Wednesday. Yeah, the models were trending up with this system on Wednesday, and originally it didn't look like much, and then when I looked at it yesterday, looks like we're actually going to get rain, but it looks weak, so it'll be light. I don't think there'll be a huge flood concern on that one. A trend for drier but seasonably cool weather Thursday and Friday. I think a lot of people would welcome a little period of drying. High pressure builds over the weekend with dry and mild weather returning. That's exactly what we want to see. Because when you pick up all the rainfall that we've picked up with this last system, the big worry there is that you'd have another storm that comes through when the rivers are already high, and then 1 inch of rain could actually do more damage than 5 inches with the previous storm, because you're adding it on top of the previous 5. So the fact that we have a little drying period is just exactly what we want to see. Now, Let's check out the Central Valley. Precipitation forecast, 0.1 to another quarter of an inch, maybe up to a half an inch as you get 15 to 35% probability of thunderstorms, and you can report storms. Looks like we have one flood warning right there. I just want to see what this flood watch is about. Flood watch remains in effect through late tonight, and that's caused by excessive rainfall that continues to be possible. Lines of moderate to heavy rain along with scattered afternoon thunderstorms, so that's where you can get a period of very heavy rainfall, will be possible today, resulting in the potential for urban and small stream flooding. Rises expected along main stem rivers. And then let's see what the Sacramento office has to say. Storm system brings periods of heavy snow over the mountains, showers and isolated thunderstorms elsewhere, and gusty wind at times early this week. Drier conditions return next weekend. That's what we like to see. Some drier conditions returning. And then I'm curious to see how long the winter storm warning. What's that blue? Oh, the blue is an avalanche warning. That's the most widespread avalanche warning that I've seen. Avalanche warning remains at high at all elevations this morning. Very dangerous avalanche conditions are expected through noon Monday. Through today. The eastern slopes of the Sierra Nevada mountain range between Virginia Lakes to the north of Bishop Creek to the south. They must have extended it because it's past noon right now. Just past noon, and we're still seeing that warning popping up, so maybe they need to update this. Impacts: intense snowfall and strong winds have overloaded the snowpack, which contains buried persistent weak layers. Backcountry travel will be difficult and dangerous. Expect widespread areas of unstable snow. So what happens when you get these widespread blizzard warnings like that? Or not blizzard, avalanche. It's a very similar color to the blizzard warning, I think, so that's why I'm a little confused maybe. We had very cold, clear conditions at one point, I think last month, so that creates a layer of what's called hoarfrost, and then when you pile on snow on top of that, especially heavy snow, it's almost like you have two different layers in that heavy snow because it's coming from the south, it has more water content in it, can very easily slip over that hoarfrost weak layer that we got when it was cold and clear. So it's almost like one of those birthday cakes that's two layers, and it's like somebody put too much frosting on top of the bottom layer, and then now maybe it's really hot in the room, so that frosting is just starting to liquefy, and then that top layer of the cake just starts to droop off. That's maybe a poor analogy or metaphor for what's going on with avalanches in this case. And then winter storm warning, that remains in effect until 4 a.m. on Tuesday. Let's see the numbers they have here. Additional snow accumulations of 6 to 12 above 5,500, with 1 to 2 feet above 7,500. Still saying some wind gusts as high as 60 this morning, but when we looked at the wind map, it looked like a lot of the winds have started to come down at this point. So let's check out the rain, timing, and totals, and then also look at the snow. So let's go to, that's about right now. Yeah, there's still the potential for some heavy rain in the Central Valley, still the potential for some thunderstorms in the Central Valley. That's why we have the widespread flood watch. And then there is still rain going up into the Sierra. It just doesn't look like it, snow going up into the Sierra. That's what blue stands for. I should know that. It just doesn't look like it's the heavy snowfall. That's where you get into that purple color there, or the dark blue. And then yellow is where there's the potential for heavy rain. I'd say it looks like the worst of the storm is behind us, but we'll continue to see snow up in the Sierra, so it makes sense that they have that winter storm warning through 4 a.m. Look at that's Tuesday at 7 a.m. And that's where the snow is finally starting to ease up a little bit, although it looks like they still have the potential to pick up snow throughout the day Tuesday. It's just maybe not as consistent or widespread or heavy. And then a lot of the rain starts to clear out before the next system comes in Wednesday at 1 p.m. That's going to bring more snow, more rain. I wouldn't be too worried though. at least in terms of rain, because that looks pretty minimal right there. And then we're supposed to have a drying period, but then it shows a little something maybe dipping down on Friday. Looks like that's mostly Northern California, and then it dries out this weekend. So we're just going to stop it right there, because after that, the models are not going to be accurate. Oh, no, that's SoCal rain totals. Let's go NorCal rain totals. See how much is yet to fall. I'm interested about the Central Valley. Yeah, let's keep it on before that system comes in Wednesday. Let's just deal with this first system first. 0.3 for San Francisco, 0.1 for Santa Rosa. So although I think we still had a flood warning over Marin County, much of the rain is behind us at this point. And then, actually, I should see when that flood warning expires for Marin, and make sure that it was a flood warning. Flood warning, that's 4 p.m. this afternoon. So that goes along with some of these rainfall totals that we're seeing. Most of the rain behind us, but there is still the potential for some heavy rainfall in the Central Valley, which is why the flood watch continues there. Another ½ inch for Sacramento, around another inch for Stockton and Merced. Most of it's behind us, though. Now, total snowfall. Let's click in here. Where you see the pink, that's where we could see, I think that goes along with the winter storm warning. I think it said still the potential for around a foot of snow, maybe 2 up in the very high elevations, but yeah, closer to a foot. And then with the system on Wednesday, that should bring a little more snow, but it doesn't look like that one's going to be an intense storm or anything like that. So I think where I should wrap this up is just by reiterating that down in Southern California, we have a large number of warnings going on. Purple is high surf advisory, pink is winter storm warning, dark green, it's over San Luis Obispo too, is our flood watch. Bright green is flood warning, and then that red is a flash flood warning. That's the most serious one. And then that is going to be, the heavier rain does look to be moving down to Oceanside and San Diego as we get later in the day today. So we may see some of these flood watches turn into flood warnings as well, as they pile on more rainfall on top of some of the record rainfall that they already received in San Diego not too long ago. I forget the exact day on that, but they had their wettest January day last month at some point. Finally, let's look at the radar, where you can see, that atmospheric river still just directly over Los Angeles. We were seeing in the forecast that it's supposed to be mostly light to moderate throughout the day today, but there are some patches where you see that yellow, which represent heavy rainfall, and as that moves onshore, you can have some periods of heavy rain. Just not as widespread heavy rain as before, but any additional rainfall is going to lead to more flooding. The good news on that front is that it kind of looks like it's moving. It's already moved out of Santa Barbara. Now it's from Thousand Oaks to Santa Ana, and then that's going to continue to move south. So we're going to keep a close eye on Oceanside and San Diego. Right now, Los Angeles is still in the thick of it, but it should be starting to ease up more as we get later in the day today. So I'll be keeping a close eye on this. If you're just tuning into the live stream and you don't have the time to go back and watch however long I've just been talking, I'll do a short form video of this as well, give you the most important information in a minute or less, and then I'll definitely be back again tomorrow to update on this kind of ongoing situation that, again, there's a lot of warnings out there. Take any steps that you need to take while you can, and then if you've put in some actions to prepare yourself, there's not much else we can do except kind of wait out this storm and hope for the best. So hope everybody stays safe out there and that this video was helpful. Thanks for watching.